Alright, hello YouTube. Tonight I want to talk about social anxiety and anxiety in general. Now, I used to suffer from extreme anxiety, which was kind of odd. When I was young, it didn't really bother me. I was never really like an outgoing social butterfly, but I wasn't a recluse either. But as I got older, it got worse and worse and worse. And people don't understand. Everybody has anxiety at some point, but to what extent is the extent that it occurs is the difference. Normal people, sure, they might feel anxious if they need to speak in front of a group of people, or uh, you know insert themselves into a new situation or a new group of people, things like that. But they deal with it and cope and go ahead and move forward and do it. But when you suffer from an anxiety disorder, the anxiety that you feel it's crippling. I mean, it's totally debilitating and disabling. I mean, it's like to the point where you just can't do it. You're like a deer in headlights. You're just frozen. You just can't pick up and go on and do what you need to do. There was a point where I literally basically didn't leave my house for about 6 months because I was just so anxious about it. And this was before I got into treatment with my psychiatrist. And like I've mentioned in past videos, I take 3 different benzodiazepines and a large dose of Seroquel, which kind of manage my anxiety. I'm not going to say that I don't have anxiety. I still do. But between the medications and the therapy that I've gone through, I've learned how to deal with it a little bit better. Again, to touch back on, it's people don't understand unless you've been through it. I'm fortunate. I never really experienced panic attacks, but a lot of times anxiety can set off a panic attack in people that are prone to them. I fortunately am not. I would as I would get more and more anxious, I would just recede more and more and more until I was just, curled up in a ball underneath the covers in bed, and I would just stay there, because it's the only place I really felt safe, and it's just, it's an awful feeling because you're just so negative, so pessimistic, you're everything that could go wrong in your mind is going to go wrong. Things that have a 1 in a million chance of happening are a sure thing when you're suffering from that kind of anxiety. Like I said, I wouldn't leave my house. I was afraid a plane was going to fall out of the sky on me, or I was going to get attacked by terrorists or revolutionaries or something like that. Or walk into the middle of a robbery, and it was really crippling because I couldn't do anything. I couldn't function. You can't live that way. I wouldn't say that I have technically agoraphobia or anything like that. I'm not like afraid of people or anything. I'm not a very social person. I tend to keep to myself more or less. I think that's why I've always loved computers and things so much because of the anonymity factor. I can kind of create the persona that I want, and because you're also a lot of anxiety, at least for me, is a lot of self consciousness, and a lot of self evaluation, and I'm very hard on myself, and when I'm online, be it playing video games or doing the other stuff that I do, I can kind of try to eliminate the flaws in my personality and in my person that I don't like, and I can kind of try and get rid of them, or at least hopefully they're not quite as obvious as I think they are. And to be honest, most people would never even notice them if I didn't tell them about it. But to me, it's like a glaring thing that I think everybody can see right away, and it's really, like I said, it just eats at you. It's enough to make you so that you refuse social contact. Because you can't handle it, you can't tolerate it. It just makes you anxious to the point of being sick. And even once I got into treatment and, I got on some medications and, went through some therapy, learned how to deal with things a little bit better. I still used to have a hard time, to this day, I still do have a hard time because I have to kind of be somewhat in control of everything. Like, for example, I'm a creature of habit. I go to the same stores at the same time. I park in the same spot. Like when I go to buy cigarettes and stuff like that, it's all got to be the same routine. And if anybody or anything interferes with that routine, it gets me right away. I start to get all wound up. Like I said, I don't have panic attacks, but I get, I start to get, the motor starts running, and it starts to get, you start to just want to just run and leave the situation, but fortunately I've, learned to deal with that. And I still have days where, I'll know I need to go out to do something and, it'll take me a couple hours to work up to doing it. Not just because I don't feel like going or anything like that, because because I wouldn't call it so much. It is fear, but it's a different kind of fear. You know what I mean? It's not like a fear of the dark or anything like that. It's like a dread, like a terror almost. Because there's not really, I'm the kind of person my whole life, I've never really been afraid of much. Like I'm not afraid of getting hurt. I'm not afraid of dying. I'm not afraid of the police or anything like that, and it's a flaw. I think it's part of my personality disorder that I just have disregard for consequence and things like that. But that's another video. But I forget where I was going with this. And anyway, like I said, some days still, even with all the medication and all the therapy and the techniques that I've learned, it's tough to go out and face the world, which is, it's a rough way to live, where you kind of, seclusion is good to a point, but when you live your whole life secluded, it's not a healthy thing because humans are social beings. We need social interaction and social contact basically to live. It's why people in solitary confinement for long periods of time, they go insane. You lose your mind because you have no contact with anyone or anything. Like I say, fortunately now in the information age that we're in with the internet and stuff like that, I myself at least don't get that disconnected because I'm always online. I'm always playing a video game or doing something with one of the various, we'll call them groups or associations that I'm associated with. And, that makes it easier because I do still have, it's not person-to-person relations, but it is some form of social outlet. I have, friends, online that I've hung around with and been buddies with and played games and stuff with for over 20 years now, since the 90s. Since back in the days when, it was not everybody had a computer and an internet connection. We were like a rare breed, the gamer back then. Which is, like I said, a good thing because I do still get some social interaction even when I tend to try and withdraw. It makes it a lot harder. And, through my talks with my therapist and stuff like that, she basically said when I feel the need to withdraw, I have to go the other way. I have to force myself to go out, even if I just go out to, the grocery store and just walk around for 15 minutes just so that, I get myself in, a situation where there's people and realize that it's not the end of the world. Everybody's not out to get me, and again, too, it's not, that makes it sound kind of like it's paranoia and stuff like that, which I do get a little bit of paranoia, but not much, fortunately. I don't think, the guys in black suits are coming for me or aliens or anything like that. But I get a little paranoid, like, in the sense that everybody's looking at me and, if I buy a box of Pop-Tarts, everybody's wondering why is that guy buying that flavor Pop-Tarts? Why isn't he buying different Pop-Tarts, and things like that just run through your head over and over again, and it's still, you have to fight it. And, it's like any other mental illness, it's a daily battle. It doesn't go away. It's always there. You always have to fight it. And some days you win, but some days you lose, and you just have to accept that, and you just have to try your hardest to deal with it as best you can. Again, like I said, it's one of those things. It's like depression. You can't really explain it unless you've had it, because it's hard to it's hard to put words to it. People just don't understand unless they've experienced it. And hopefully you'll never have to experience that. I wouldn't wish wish it on my worst enemy. But there are ways to deal with it. There are medications that help to ease it, therapy that you can go to, and it does get better. Don't give up. Work at it. Work hard at it, and you will move forward and learn how to deal with it. I guess that's all I can really think of for now on anxiety. Again, go ahead, if you watch the video and like it, go ahead and give it a like. Give the channel a subscription, a subscribe. Click the button. Hopefully there'll be a lot more videos that come in the future on various topics. Also, if you have anything that you'd like to hear me maybe discuss or hear my views on, feel free to leave a comment, send me a message, anything like that. I'd be more than happy to, see if I can't, fulfill your requests. All right, well, until we meet again, this is Trug signing out.